सबैमा हार्दिक नमस्कार। नेपाल श्रेष्ठ समाजले अर्गनाइज गरेको यो कार्यक्रम चाहिँ अलि फरक खालको कार्यक्रम हो जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई। यो अङ्ग्रेजी भाषामा पनि आफ्ना कविता लेख्ने अथवा अनुवाद भएका स्रष्टाहरूबाट अङ्ग्रेजीमै कविता पढ्ने कार्यक्रम हामीले आयोजना गरेका हौँ। This is first of its kind of program organized by Nepal Srashta Samaj. र आजको यो साँझमा यहाँहरूका कविताहरू अङ्ग्रेजीमा यहाँहरूबाटै हामी सुन्नेछौँ। यसका निमित्त सबैभन्दा पहिला म आज हामीले आग्रह गरेर स्पेसल गेस्ट विशेष अतिथिका रूपमा प्रमुख अतिथिका रूपमा चिफ गेस्टका रूपमा हामीले इन्भाइट गरेको सिनियर पोएट वरिष्ठ कवि तुलसी दिवसज्यूलाई म हार्दिक नमस्कार नमन र स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु। त्यस्तै गरेर आज वाचन हुने कविताहरू माथि आफ्ना टिप्पणीहरू गर्नका लागि हामीले त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालयको अङ्ग्रेजी केन्द्रीय विभागका पूर्व प्रमुख प्राध्यापक डाक्टर कृष्ण चन्द्र शर्मा हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ। म उहाँलाई पनि हार्दिक नमन र स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु। त्यसै गरेर आज हामीले आग्रह गरेर इन्भाइट गरेका निमन्त्रणा गरेका कविहरूमा चाहिँ आस्मा अर्याल हुनुहुन्छ, अस्मिता मानन्दर हुनुहुन्छ, भीष्म उप्रेती, चेत नाथ कणेल हरित, गोपी कृष्ण ढुङ्गाना, ईश्वर कण्डेल, केशब सिगदेल, महेश पौड्याल, मन्जु काँचुली तिवारी, पवन आलोक, राजेन्द्र सलभ, रूप सिंह भण्डारी, सरिता भट्टराई र स्नेहा सायमी। मैले यो उहाँहरू दुईजना विशिष्ट व्यक्तित्वहरूभन्दा बाहेकहरूको नाम चाहिँ मैले एब्सिडेरियन फर्मेटमा पढेको छु, अल्फाबेटिकल अर्डरमा। त्यस कारणले मैले यहाँ वरिष्ठताको कुरोकानी मिलेन भन्ने कुरा नआओस् भन्ने हामी आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छौँ यहाँहरूलाई विनम्रतापूर्वक। र म अब ढिलो नगरिकन म चाहिँ कविता वाचनतिर जान चाहन्छु। सबैभन्दा पहिला कविता वाचन अलिकति कविता वाचन र त्यसपछि अलिकति छोटो तुलसी दाजुको छोटो मन्तव्य सुरुमा र त्यसपछि कविता वाचन सकिसकेपछि पनि हामी फेरि तुलसी दाजुको मन्तव्य फेरि पनि सुन्छौँ र त्यसपछि कृष्णचन्द्र सरको चाहिँ समीक्षा पनि हामी सुन्छौँ। र म अल्फाबेटिकल अर्डरमै जाउँ। म आस्मा अर्याललाई आफ्नो कविता वाचनका लागि म अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु र यसपछि तयारी अवस्थामा बस्दैन म अस्मिता मानन्दरलाई म आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु।
Thank you, sir. I hope I'm audible now. And the title of my poem for today is Clouds and Eyes. My poem begins from here. Clouds, heat and rain, tears welled up in my eyes. Clouds, heat and rain, tears welled up in my eyes. Then I started to believe clouds and our eyes are similar, and same are the rain and the tears. Just as the clouds heat to rain, just as the clouds heat to rain, tears also burst out of a reason. Just as we see clouds, they look at us all the time. What I feel is only the power they hold is different. One governs rain and other the tears. One rules the earth and other the sky. But the beauty is ultimately our eyes and clouds meet. Tears and rain also meet. And when all gather, then magic of separation starts to happen. Then magic of separation starts to happen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Asma. And now, may I call upon Asmita Manandhar for reciting her poem.
Thank you very much. धेरै धन्यवाद मलाई पनि इन्भाइट गरिदिनु भएकोमा. So yesterday was Transgender Day of Disappearance. र मैले एज अ जर्नलिस्ट पनि धेरै LGBTIQ वा लेट्स से queer issuesहरूमा काम गरेको हुँदा I thought this poem of mine would be very much relevant. So the title of my poem is In a Prison. My conscience sits in a prison. My conscience sits in a prison. It cannot breathe, cannot make a decision. My love. She presses her fingers between mine, pretending to make our own little barrier and tell each other we shall be fine. I tell her they may call us trash, but this time we'll move on and we no longer have to prove them wrong. My love. She smiles and wraps me around her arms like nothing can touch us, no pain or harms. They say love is pure, then why mine's treated like a treason? Why can't I love my goddess? Why is it beyond your reason? My love, she's like a sunlight, a piece of heaven I can't deny. How can something like that be a sin? How can it be a lie? Oh, my love, she's truer than all the truths. She runs throughout my veins, from my head to my roots. And yet my existence sits in a prison. And if they preach of nature, then why for us just the cold winter every season? I tell my love, today our steps may be bleak, and in this darkness we may find ourselves weak. But my love, someday we shall be out in the sun, and on the rainbows we shall ride. The universe shall stand witness when we take vows to be each other's bride. So let their hearts sit frozen and hope compassion will find a way, even though they keep him closing. My love, we had a talk, me and my conscience. No more hiding for us. Call it my decision or defiance. My darling love, don't be shy now. Don't live inside that veil anymore, because you know I've been to hell and back just to wait outside your door. Thank you.
Okay. Then I'm going to alphabet B, Bhisma Uprety, of course. Bhisma, and then Chet Nath Kanel Harit, just to be prepared. Bhisma.
Thank you, Dai. Thank you, Bidhan Dai and Nepal Srashta Samaj for inviting me at this forum to recite my poem. I basically write in Nepali. This poem I'm going to read here is translated by my friend and a very good poet, Mukul Dal. He lives in Aberdeen, UK at present. The title of my poem is Beauty of Life. Beauty of Life. Please take our photo, uncle. Please take our photo, uncle. Children chant. They spoke to me, their voice, with an aura of hope and brightness. I stood them in a row and took their picture. I stood them in a row and took their pictures. The photo was missing the luster that was in their eyes, their smile and the color of it, the voices of their heart and innocence and warmth. In the photo, there were some figures. In the photo, there were some figures, merely a photo. I took the photo
Okay.
Bidhan bhai,
Bhisma finished?
finished.
Yeah, when you took the photo, the poem is also concluded. Okay. Then I am going to Chet Nath Kanel Harit. Then after I will be requesting Tulsi Diwasa to speak a few words. But in the last of the program, you will again be speaking as concluding remarks. That's why this time his speech will be short and giving a guideline to us. But before this, I would like to request Chet Nath Kanel Harit. Chet Nath ji, unmute yourself.
Thank you, Bidhan sir. Thank you, Bidhan sir. तुलसी दाई र डाक्टर कृष्ण चन्द्र शर्मा सरलाई विशेष सम्झेँ र मेरा असल अनुवादकहरू यहाँ विधान सर र महेश पौड्याल सर हुनुहुन्छ, म विशेष सम्झिन्छु। तर आजको चाहिँ म आफै लेख्ने जमर्को गरेको छु। यो चाहिँ मेरो ओरिजिनल इङ्ग्लिस राइटिङ हो, म सुनाउँछु। र लेखेको पनि आजै र प्रेरणा पनि आजै। खास गरेर नेपालमा मिनिमलिजम भन्छ, न्यूनवाद, यसको बारेमा धेरै समय हामीले कुरा गरिरहेको थियौँ। तर राम्रोसँग नेपालीमा पहिलोचोटि आज कान्तिपुरमा हाम्रो प्रतीक्षा कट्टेले लेख्नुभयो। अनि मलाई चाहिँ एउटा कविता यसैबाट पनि फुर्यो। वास्तवमा न्यूनवाद एक आन्दोलन भनेर उहाँले लेख्नु भएको छ कान्तिपुरमा। यो नेपालमै लेखिएको नेपाली सम्बन्धी सामग्री एउटा विशेष सामग्री हो भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ। मेरो ओके, my poem's title is Natural Minimalist. The birds flying in the sky could watch. The bird flying in the sky could watch. The sun smiling in the sky could put glances. The big butter trees cheery. The big butter trees of my farmland could easily vigilance. The kadam trees of nearby forest could peep. The banana trees could also contemplate, this is a reality. The banana trees could also contemplate, this is a reality. I don't watch TV. I don't watch TV. I don't use smartphones. I don't open my bank account. I don't buy new books. I don't buy new clothes. And I also don't need big homes. And I say, this thatched hut, I said, this thatched hut is my green resort. This hut is my dream house. This hut is my greenhouse where I can sleep well, where I can sleep well, where my wife and kids feel fearless, where my wife and kids feel fearless because I am a minimalist, because I am a minimalist, because I am Chepan, because I am Dom, because I am Musahar, because I am Raute, and finally, I am a natural minimalist. Thank you.
Thank you, Chet Nath sir. It's about minimalism. Now I would like to request Tulsi Diwasa. Tulsi Diwasa, I am requesting you to just to give us the guideline. What type of poems should we compose, should we write, and how should we recite the poetry? Maybe your experience, your knowledge would guide us. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Oh, thank you, Bidhan. I would like to congratulate you organizing this wonderful program of Nepali poets, both writing in English and with their translation. I would like to speak at the end, but this is, I think you have taken organizing wonderful program, bringing not only the poets writing in English and Nepali together in this program. And I would also, I think, request you in due course of time, we'll be reciting poem, not only with Nepalese poets, but also with some foreign poets, those that write in English or them who we are being translated into English, so that you can introduce our poetic talent in the international platform, in the international scene. I will recite, and I'll really share some of my experience of being a poet and writing poetry somewhere at the end of your program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to call upon Gopi Krishna Dhungana for reciting his poem. Gopi Krishna Dhungana.
Thank you, Bidhan, right? Chief guest, and all poets. Today I am going to recite a poem titled Discourses of Time. This poem is translated by Professor Dr. Govinda Raj Bhattarai. The poem starts, I must compose a long, very long poem about those subalterns of Spivak who couldn't speak at all, who were left anonymous and who pretended to move behind the curtains. I must uproot this quickie cognizance and must replant by collecting the voice of the voiceless. In this fertile land, I must disrupt the history of these Hitlers and their supports who misjudge the sociological norms and values, who interpret the theories and prosperity, making suitable to them and trade in them and regard the aesthetics of the subaltern repugnant, because we have to change the time of discourse of yesterday and have to compare the subalterns of Spivak with the people of the Nepal and their country, with the people of Nepal and their country. Thank you.
Thank you, Gopi Krishna Dhungana. He is associated with Annapurna Post. Maybe many of us are very much known to each other. That's why I did not ask for the introduction. But if you think that you need to be introduced, maybe one or two sentences we can speak to introduce ourselves. That will also be fine. And now I'm calling upon Ishwar Kandel ji. He's from Chitwan. Ishwar ji? Ishwar Kandel. Please unmute yourself. Your mic is muted. Ishwarji, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, sir. I would like to say good evening to everybody. Tulsidai is there, to Tulsidai and rest of all others, my friends Mahesh and Keshabji also there. I noticed them. And I'm Ishwar Kandel, and I'm from Bharatpur, Chitwan. And I work as a freelancer in British Council, and I'm a teacher trainer, and I just work in the area of training, teacher training over there. So I would like to simply recite my poem, and my poem, the topic of my poem, the title of my poem is Fire and Ashes.
Fire and ashes. Okay.
A flint from an England nook, just after one of the cracks, descends and survives in her heart. A day goes for hunting far and wide, fights fiercely, runs behind the dreams, throws herself like an arrow from her bow, and returns as a boomerang, too tired to touch herself. What she does all the time is just to keep the fire alive. Fire that sparks suddenly in you, me, and them is from the same fireplace of the master who loves firing his charcoal for transforming the energy beyond and enjoys the crackles and the blaze and goes on adding the coals and the coals turn to ashes. The stoker in a coal black disguise never takes rest, rather smiles beside his furnace. Thank you, Bidhan sir.
You are welcome. Now I would like to request Keshab Sigdel ji. Keshab Sigdel ji is associated with Central Department of English in Tribhuvan University as Mahesh C. Also teaches there. Keshab Sigdel ji.
विधान दाजु म स्रष्टा समाजलाई आजको कार्यक्रममा कविता वाचनको लागि निम्ता गर्नुभएकोमा धन्यवाद दिन्छु। नेपाली कविता जगतका मानक स्रष्टाहरू हुनुहुन्छ, सबैको नाम लिँदाखेरि समय लाग्छ। म सबैलाई सम्मान व्यक्त गर्दै मेरो कविता वाचन गर्न चाहन्छु। The title of my poem is The Ancient
सुनिएन नि?
Something wrong?
मैले सुनिन, हजुरले पनि सुन्नु भएन कि?
मैले पनि सुनेको छैन।
The audio is not working.
केशव म्युट। केशवजी म्युट हुनुहुन्छ। अन गर्नुस् त।
I'm back.
Yeah, okay.
I am back.
Please.
Yes. अब आयो।
Yes, title.
Start from the
The
beginning.
title of my poem is Elixir. When drops of the ancient bliss flow with the river of my desires, divine inspiration oozes out of your lips, and I dance in ecstasy, O my spirit. The leaf that sways all alone with the wind knows it well. It's not the breeze nor its wings that steers him to dance. The sound of the cuckoos, the whispers of the dried leaves, the glitters of the rosy cheeks of the mountain girl, and the pang of a lover who waits his love before furiously in the air. I inhale the air and see you dancing, oh my music. And now I have your eyes to see the gods descending to the pass of the mountain on the earth, the swans to dive into the fresh water lake, fishes jump out in excitement, only the peahens wait patiently until the peacocks spread their feathers in ecstasy. After a drink from the pond of divinity, I swim in my imagination and reach you, oh my dream. When one day I went to a salt lake, the lake appeared thirsty itself. It was probably waiting for the dinosaurs to come back from their hibernations before the lake could sip from its own body. Who else could quench her thirst? Only the magic in you, oh my spirit. When the body retired one fine day, my soul jumped into a chariot of 9 white horses and marched through the paddy fields to find the farmer's daughter who had given me the last bouquet of flowers before I drank from her body the elixir of life. Before it was completely dark, I saw her standing at the door of her house. I could not separate whether it was she or the colorful lights that smiled at me. Lover's nectar still oozed from her lips. I turned into liquid myself and blended with her sap. Only you who have other than her, oh my poetry. Thank you.
Thank you, Keshavji. But we had some problem listening to you. Maybe it was due to internet problem. We are in the alphabet K, but I am not going to request Krishna Chandra Sharma right now, and I am just having him at the end of the program, at the last part of the program. Now I would like to call upon Mahesh Paudyal for reciting his poem.
Thank you, respected Bidhan sir, Chair of Srashta Samaj, for taking this novel initiative to make verses in English heard. Respected Tulsi sir, my Guru Krishna Chandra Sharma sir, my colleague Keshab sir, my seniors, and my friends. When Chet Nath sir talked about minimalistic poem, I was very happy. Due mainly to my passion and also my limitations, I have not been able to extend my poems of late beyond 5 or 6 lines. I end up writing first 5 lines and there my poems end. So, Chet Nath sir, you made my task quite justified and easy, because we, 2 of us are here who can claim a cult of minimalism at least. So I have a poem that's very short, really very short. The title is Border, Simana, Border. Here goes my poem. Standing near to the Wagha border, Wagha. Standing near to the Wagha border, I asked an old man who was burning litters there.
Meeting छु है हजुर म मिटिङमा छु एक घण्टापछि है
Mahesh, please continue.
Standing near to the Wagha border, I asked an old man who was burning litters there, Father, where does the Indo-Pak border lie? Yeah. He turned towards me, appeared grave, placed the forefinger of his right hand upon my chest and said, here. Both his feet were standing on a heap of ashes. Thank you. That's thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mahesh. This is also a kind of minimalism in poetry. Very short one, very short one. Okay. And now, may I request our advisor of Nepal Srashta Samaj, one of the advisors of Nepal Srashta Samaj, Manju Kanchuli Tiwari Didi. She is very respectable person for us too. Manju Didi, I would like to request you to recite your poem. Unmute yourself. You are muted, Didi. Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Hi. Namaskar. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, chairperson and other participants. This program is somewhat different from other program. As just now, poet Bidhan Acharya said, because Nepali poets are reciting poems written in English and translated in English. It's wonderful, of course. And I myself, I'm very much obliged to be a participant of this Srashta Samaj, and I'm very much obliged for this program and to the team. I write in both the languages, in English and Nepali. This poem is written originally in English, and I'm going to recite it. The title of the poem is An Old Woman. An old woman peeps through her window, grassy in her yard, resting under her chin, her one beautiful wrinkled hand, a wonderful formless form in peacefulness, chiseling it to boost the aroma of the goddess in her nose, eyes, mouth, and ears, endurance in rumple, glory in ironed crumple, tolerance in reticence, concrete. Is it suffering? Is it bliss? Unknown. One cannot see. It's smeared inside the stone wall of her face. Her vocal cord is shot or perhaps cut long before. She looks beautiful, a beautiful bust of gallantry. A tourist takes its pictures from various angles, made of stone. Perhaps a goddess in the city of the temples, a bestowed honor to lie shut, so suffocating wind into the four wall. Is it forever? Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you, Didi. That should not be forever, Didi. Okay. And now I would like to call upon Pawan Aalok sir. Pawan Aalok ji is former president of Nepal Srashta Samaj. Many of you definitely know it. And now he is promoted to patron of Nepal Srashta Samaj. And now I would like to request Pawan Aalok ji for reciting his poem. Pawan Aalok. Pawan sir, please unmute yourself. You are muted. No, sir, you are not unmuted. Yes, now it's okay.
Okay.
Please go on.
Okay. Namaskar. Thank you, my friend Bidhan Acharya, chairperson of Nepal Srashta Samaj, for taking this wonderful initiative. I think this might be one of the very few of its kind in Nepal in recent days. Thank you very much. And as I can see that I can recall Nepal Srashta Samaj has been organizing many events like this and in different occasions in the past also. I would like to take this opportunity to express my best regards to our senior poet, Tulasi Diwasa, and special guest, Krishna Chandra Sharma, and all respected poets present here this evening. I would like to recite one of my poems, which was included in one of my poetry collection, The Poison Tree, published from Dhaka, Bangladesh, I think in 2013. The title is, this was actually published in Gorkha Times recently. I would like to thank Mahesh Paudyal and the Gorkha Times as well. Thank you very much. The title of this poem is On the Bank of Hudson. Every day, every evening, I have been watching the sky over the Hudson River, almost always helicopters, water taxis, moving across the Hudson, boats and ferries. I have been watching Holland and Lincoln tunnels, the skyline over Manhattan, along the edge of Atlantic in the going ships, the Statue of Liberty, always advocating for freedom, the Empire State Building seen nearby, Jackson Heights, and the small Nepal of Ridgewood, the debris of Twin Tower, those worthless moments of history. On the bank of Hudson River, as I walk along, looking at her waves, I remember my native inhabitants of Karnali who are enduring agony, getting not even salt, let alone the question of grains. I remember our girls, our daughters, who have been living dead, who have been molested in Gulf, where they have been selling their houses and farmlands to sustain their offspring's life, to actualize their beautiful dreams. I remember the corpse of the youths brought in coffins on aeroplanes almost every day. I remember our descendants not getting to eat even a single meal and not getting to wear a single cloth. I remember the disgraceful offspring of my mother, Nepal, who raised disgust among people, who cause war, who are transplanting the plants of poison, and cultivating them. How painful is the surrounding. I look around all over here. Arrogance teams from everywhere. Magnificence and grandeur glitter from everywhere. But what is the worth of it for us? Does history persist like this forever? I torment by pain, I flounder, I think the skyscrapers of Manhattan and the Statue of Liberty nearby are staring at me. Thank you.
You are remembering Hudson, from Hudson to your country. It's very nice. Now it's time to request Rajendra Salabh.
Thank you, Dai. My poem, Amadui. This poem is translated by Sneha Sharma. Ama rises up early and spread the warmth just like the sun. From east to west, morning till evening, when the rays exhaust after distributing it overall, Ama sleep with the sun to wake up next morning and again spread her warmth. Thank you, Dai.
Thank you, Rajendra. I just visualized Ama right now because I am also quite well known to your mother. Thank you, Rajendra. Now it's time to call upon Roop Singh Bhandari. RUP, Roop Singh Bhandari. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not teasing you. Just,
I know.
Okay.
I know, sir. It's okay, sir. Thank you so much. I must thank Bidhan sir, President of Nepal Srashta Samaj. And I'm so glad to see Tulsi Diwasa, our chief guest, because since 2 years I'm looking to meet him, actually. And our respected guru, Krishna Prasad Sharma, and all the Krishna Chandra Sharma, and all the veterans. I'm honored today because I got chance to be with all of you veterans, all of the poets here together. So today, I'll recite very short poem, 2 of my best poem that I have written in this during the lockdown period. So it goes like this. First, heart shell. Heart. After being hostage in this long course of wandering life, after being hostage in this long course of wandering life, timelessly being broken, deceived, scratched, beaten, my heart has grown its painless cell. My heart has grown its painless cell. Now, pain is nothing. I can overcome everything. Whatever tries to pick, whoever adjusts. Whatever tries to pick, whoever adjusts, I can easily hide myself into my heart's stony shell. Like a turtle retreating into its shell, stilly unbroken, like a turtle retreating into its shell, stilly unbroken. So another my poem goes like this. Aliveness. It's a little bit like love poem. Aliveness. Who is she? Who is she? Undefined fantasy devouring me unnoticed. Warming down in me in musical interval as the water drops in a slap pound. As the water drops in a slap pound endlessly. I am enticed. I am enticed but tangled in her anchorage and lost ineffably. My melody molded in her harsh note. My melody molded in her harsh beats note. I am alive now. I am alive now in the pauses between her breaths. I am alive now in the pauses between her breaths. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roop Singh Bhandari ji. Now I am requesting Sarita Bhattarai ji. Sarita ji, Sarita Bhattarai.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Srashta Samaj, for inviting me to recite this poem. I wrote this poem during the lockdown in April, and it's, I think I'll just see a little bit, means like it's about the people who had to walk on foot. Okay, and I haven't given a title to this poem. I didn't know what title to give. So the title of my poem is Poem itself. I have wanted to write a poem, a lengthy, drawn out, lockdown verse. The singular image that emerges is the scattered midnight travelers on the highways. Children, babies, toddlers, packs of old and young, traversing the lengths of the roads in Sinduli and Banepa and Munglin and Chitwan. Footwalkers on the roads, toiling through the hot, dusty ways in flip-flops and shabby old footwear. Silent army trudging along, the nights dark and still, in clusters, escaping, fleeing from this deadly anxiety of hunger and starvation. Hold pockets, teary cheeks, only the resolve pushes them forward. Feet blistered, wounded, joining in a compulsive, futile marathon, plodding hundreds of miles to home, clutching their dreams in their hearts, an invisible virus and a government that is invisible, this unforgiving city could not accommodate them. Like a child clinging to a starved mother's breast that can produce no milk, now they are compelled to return to the very place they escaped from. They are returning to homes and families with desolation. Tilaks and Suntalis and Bhim Bahadurs and Mayas and Nanis, walking and endless walking, carrying toddlers and babies and bags on their backs, and the burden of survival in their hearts. The pain deeper than the bottomless ocean, the stomachs so empty that the stomachs have forgotten a full belly. Chura bhujia and bhujia chura, their fuel for the journey. The powerless looks in their eyes. No question or arrogance or haughtiness or self-pity. Just a resigned acceptance. Deep blank stares staring into nothing. Hunger and helplessness and hopelessness. When will we reach Bardia, Amma? I am tired and hungry. I want to sit down. I want to sleep on a bed. Can I just ask for dal bhat in the house we just crossed? Just a little, please, only this one time. I'm feeling hot, Amma. My feet are burning with the heat. Can't we ask the police uncle to give us a ride for just a little while? Why can't we go on a bus or even a tractor like we did last Dasai? What is this Corona, Amma?
What is this corona? There are so many questions and the questions are unanswered. Okay, now I would like to request my dear friend Sneha Saymi Rato Ghar, but right now I am saying that Sneha Saymi Rato Sort. Okay, Sneha Saymi, please.
Thank you, Bidhanji, and the Srashta Samaj for having this opportunity to read my poem. This poem is dedicated to those leaders who has promised to build up new Nepal. The title of the poem is Landing. Having heard the tidings of your coming, we waited for you. With bosoms full of red carpets made from intense love and faith, telling, listening, experiences, pledging to withstand sun and rain together, with open door, we watched your way. With open door, we watched your way. Oh, you came. Oh, you came like tempest swirling, as if to sweep all trash at once. You came. You came closer, closer, closer to our yard. You came closer, closer to our yard. To the main door we hurried to welcome you. But how amazing, suddenly you vanished. You vanished before we knew where. Did you forget your path? Or were you ashamed of meeting our eyes? Thank you.
Ashamed of meeting our eyes. Okay. Okay. Snehaji, this is the reality of contemporary times in Nepal. And now, I guess it is my turn. Then I will call upon Krishna Chandra Sharma to recite his poem, and then to Tulsi Dai to recite his poems, and then KC Sir, Krishna Chandra Sir, to have a critique of all the recited poems. Now I would like to recite my poem right now. The title of my poem is The Himalayan Euphony. With the same title, I am trying to publish a book, anthology of poems in very near future, The Himalayan Euphony. It is originally written in English, not translated. I am in love with you. I am in love with you. Every morning when you have your head red with neonatal beams, I breathe with your coldness. A fresh cold wave from you meets me and makes my day a day. And makes my day a day. I'm in love with you. You lie down from my left to right. Uprising peaks in you stimulate me. I see you are watered from within you, and I feel you invite me to play with it. I am in love with you. Birds sing morning songs of your glory. Sun has the best destination at your face. Clouds always reach to touch your peaks. Oh, Himalayas, I'm jealous. Had I been the clouds, alas. Had I been the clouds, alas. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with your water. You generate it, and I drink. To give lives to many, you discharge. Rivers have always made me a fanatic. I feel you through the rivers. I'm in love with you, waiting for the day you embrace me. I'm staring at you for years. Waiting for the day you embrace me. I'm staring at you for years, waiting for the day you invite me. I don't want to step into you, my love. I don't want to step into you, my love, and enjoying your beauty. and enjoying your beauty from afar. And enjoying your beauty from afar. Thank you. And now I would like to request Krishna Chandra Sir, because he himself is a very good poet, to recite his poem. Later on, I will be requesting him for his critics. Krishna Chandra Sir, please.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to congratulate Bidhan Acharya for organizing such wonderful program. And I feel really privileged being the critic on the first occasion, as the first love is always enjoys the privilege in the life. In the same way, I believe being first critic has that privilege. You see? So I would like to read few lines from the book Reflection on Life, this poem anthology. And the title is Reflection on Life. And the title of the book goes after this very poem. Few lines. Every morn when I touch the earth, feel a new day in my life. Enjoy its fraction of time. Feel in my heart of hearts, deep sense of achievement. I spoil it linking with pains and pleasures of past, or coloring with the probability of future. Let the present survive in its own flavor. Each day is an age and an epitome of all days. As wise always feel, all in one and one in all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now it is the time, the precious time for our respected poet, senior poet, Tulasi Diwasa, to recite his poem. But for his speaking, I will be requesting him later on. Now, I would like to request him to recite one of the poems. Please unmute yourself, sir. You are muted. It is not unmuted. It's still muted, sir.
Video is stopped.
Video is stopped, but you can recite, sir. It is again muted, sir.
Is it done?
Video is gone, sir.
My goodness, what's this?
Maybe we have to make an emergency arrangement, Krishna Chandra sir, until his video is fixed. You are requested to have the comments or critiques, critiques, sir, critiques to the poems which are already recited, and by then I expect that the video of Tulasi Diwasa will be resumed, and we will be enjoying his poetry as well as his remarks. Now the floor is yours, sir. Krishna Chandra sir.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to congratulate you, the presenter for today, as being the presenters on the first occasion. You all of all of you are privileged people, privileged poets, privileged presenters. I would like to begin with what Emerson talks about poet. I would like to quote from Emerson. What Emerson says about the poet is isolated among the contemporaries by truth and by his art. But with this consolation in his pursuits, that they will draw all men sooner or later. For all men live by truth and stand in need of expression. In love, in art, in avarice, in politics, in labor, in games, we study to utter our painful secret. The man is only half himself, the other half is his expression. So it's the only poem that makes you full. You know, Emerson says, you are otherwise half. So I think that makes really the poetic spirit very important. Lately, I have been very seriously reading Rig Veda, you see. So on the third mandala of Rig Veda, it says, the exact wording, it uses Pavibhi Pavitrai, means the Veda says the most respected people in the universe are the poets. So the Vedic term for Kavi is the most respected people in the nation. You see? And Vasishtha is regarded as the prime poet, you see, who represents the entire universe of the poets. So once again, I salute you all, you know, from the line of Veda, you are the Vasishtha, you see. Okay. So Bidhan sir has given me a very difficult task, because critiquing someone who is a poet is not easy job, because everybody is the best. You see, everybody does the best. Everybody performs the best. You see. So anyway, what I have, what my impression is on listening you, and listening the lines you have expressed here. So my comment is based on my listening your recitation. So we have 17 presenters, including Tulasi Diwasa. Let me begin alphabetically as the presentation. So first, poet Ashma Aryal, Clouds and Eyes. So our poem has a beautiful comparison. You see how cloud and eyes have similar qualities. Both of them, cloud gives rain and eyes tears. So she has made a beautiful use of the images, earth, sky, eyes, tears, you see. So finally she says how tears and rain meet, how the cloud and eyes meet. So the poem is lucid, very well expressed, and the images are wonderful. So best of luck. And second, Asmita Manandhar, and the poem is really good. It's about transgender consciousness. So why LGBT? You see, why the members of LGBT are not free to express their love? Why they are not accepted like, you know, other people? So kind of, you know, the poem really represents a type, a group, a community. You see, so this poem is not single. Being single poem, it has really represented a very big group. You see, so it's really transnational. It's really global representation of the pain of the people who are the member of transgender or LGBT. So you know, Asmita has done very wonderful job, you know, being conscious about the pain of large number of people who are not even now accepted well in our society for their type of love. So, thank you. So why they are discriminated? But she's very optimistic. One day they will find justice. I am really impressed at the way Asmita Manandhar is very optimistic. The time will come when even the people of third gender will be having the same, chance for love, for, respect in the society. Third presenter is Bhisma Uprety, Beauty of Life. So far, my understanding of the poem is there is difference between photo and the real expression of life. See, photo cannot capture all the, shinings in the eyes, glow in the face. You see, so the photo can only mechanically represent something that cannot capture the real liveliness of life. You see, so it shows the difference between what you call photo and the real experience of life. It's very sad. Chet Nath Kanel has presented a poem, Natural Minimalist. I think the phrase natural and minimalist don't exactly match, you see. Only minimalist maybe, but finally when he is talking about Musar, Raute, you see, I am a minimalist. So there the very clear sense of marginalization, clear sense of, this, the way, in society certain people feel marginalized, the sense of marginalization comes. So the very deep sense of what you call political consciousness, I find embedded in his expression. You see, so this is not only natural minimalist. There is very deep sense of what you call the pain of marginalization. So I feel the very spirit through the poem he is expressing is how these marginalized people undergo suffering. So I think you have to think about this very title. Are you really talking about only the sense of minimalist, or you are talking very subtly about what you call marginalized people's pain? So please think about the title. Gopi Krishna Dhungana ji presented Discourses of Time. I think the very concept of the poem is criticism. You see, this is the topic of Samalochana, So Discourses of Time, it's more than a common poem. It's the very topic is critical. You see, I must compose a very long poem, Spivak, cognizance, voice of voiceless, Hitler, aesthetic of subaltern. So all these are the theoretical jargons, theoretical terms. So using all these theoretical terms block the smoothness of poem. So we have to think how to make all these theoretical jargons in a poem and again make the poem flow like a poem. So I think Gopi Krishna has a kind of difficulty balancing between using the jargons and making the expression poetic. So the problem is there. So whenever we use such jargons, obviously the poem becomes kind of complex, technical, difficult. So the very concept is what you call criticism, and even the words used there are related to Gayatri Spivak, even her essay, the title, the very terms. So I think Gopi sir has tried his best, but the topic and the concept he has taken has created a kind of obstacle, making his poem flowing smoothly. That I feel. 6, Ishwar Kandel, Fire and Ashes, a very nice poem, very well expressed. You see, wording, words, fights fiercely, You see the very collocations, a wonderful collocation. And to keep force alive, fire transforming coal to ashes. You see all these images, word selections, I really appreciate. So you have beautifully selected the words, and I feel the whole poem has a kind of binarity. See, coal, ashes, fire transforming, and fire here comes as a symbol of knowledge as well. You see? So congratulations for this nice poem. Keshab Sigdel, is the title only elixir or something else, Keshab? I have written only elixir. Elixir of life or only elixir? Anyway, Keshab has used very, very selected words, very flow. I find good flow as a poem should be. Divine inspiration, oh my spirit, wing sounds of cuckoo, glitter of rosy cheeks, tang of love. You see all these expressions. Swan, peacock, ecstasy, oh my dream, lack, thirst itself, you see. Body restless, soul jumps. And again, when body retires, soul jumps. So this is, you know, this is entire Gita comes in this one line. When body retires, soul jumps from one body to another body, one frame to another body. So lover's nectar, elixir of life, lover's nectar. I think this is the final expression what the poet intend to make. So elixir of life is lovers, nectar or lovers support. So anyway, it's a nice poem. Congratulations. Mahesh Paudyal today, I think Ali Thage has to lie, because he just recited 2-3 no? So
very short one.
You see, minimalist. He is really a minimalist. You know, the song goes so tending near to the Wagha border. You know, I don't know where the Wagha border is. Maybe in near Ilam. So this is
between India and Pakistan.
Yes. So father and son talking, where does the Indo-Pak border lies? And so the father shows the chest. It's very, very hitting to the point. You see, very striking. But I expected him to recite more lines because he writes good poems and he recites very well. So I expected more, you know. 9,
Manju Kanchuli Tiwari.
Manju Kanchuli Tiwari, an old woman. So it's a kind of narrative poem. An old woman, you see, peeps her window, but peeps through her window, I think, when I have to speak out. So an old woman peeps through her window, wrinkles, rest on the chin, aroma of goddess. You see, so all these, you see, wordings, all these images, you see. So her vocal cord is cut long before. So the very image is the painful image, I think. But the way tourists, you know, have the pictures, you see. So the way outsiders see and the way the insider feel, these are two different worlds. The poem tries to give two different worlds. The world, the way tourists perceive, the world an old mother feels. You see? So in this way, Manju Tiwari has given real, you know, a kind of narration of an old woman's life. The way she feels, the way the outsider accepts. So it's a good poem. Pawan Aalok, and this is really very symbolic as well as full of images the poem has on the bank of Hudson. But the beauty of the poem is from distance part of geography, the poet visualizes on one's own nation, you see. So looking the inhabitants of Karnali from the bank of Hudson, you see. And also there are different images, Manhattan, Atlantic, Liberty of Statue, you see, debris of Green Tower, so girls molested, and all these to actualize the beautiful dreams, what the Nepali boys and girls, what the young generation has done, you see. So in the army they suffered, you see, and girls in different countries, they suffered, molested. So in order to actualize their beautiful dreams, what the young generation has undergone the suffering. So in this way, Pawan Aalok, the poet, has really given a holistic, attempted to give a holistic picture of the Nepali people suffering, you see, for actualizing the real dream. So thus the poem attempts to give the picture of the life, the way you see young Nepali people are undergoing the experience. So it is, in a way, it represents the present history of Nepal and present social history of Nepal, present young generation's experience. So Aalok sir, thank you for such nice poem, for giving the picture of the history of the present social history. 11 number, Rajendra Salabh, Ama. It's very, touchy poem, you see. Ama rises early in the morning and is spread warm like the sun. And she sleeps with the sun. Again, next morning, spread the warm. So I think the poem doesn't need to explain, So the poem explains itself, It's a couplet, 2 lines. But these 2 lines are really very full of meaning. Really very meaningful couplet. But also, I expected some more lines, listening such, very significant, sensible lines. Obviously, the audience expects more. So the expectation remains, unfulfilled. That much complain, Number 12, Roop Singh Bhandari. The first poem is it Heart? I think the title is Heart. After being hostage, I think the poet is talking about being hostage during this lockdown, So each and everybody in this country and around the globe, people are, almost, house hostage, So he's talking about the condition on the one hand, undering life. You see, this is a very new use, undering. The very word under is used ing. Undering, a very poetic use. You see, it's not common, not acceptable in common English uses. You see, so it becomes poetic use. Undering life. My heart has grown painless. I can hide myself like turtle. This image, turtle, like turtle, I can hide myself the feeling. So I'm not sure whether the poet is talking about his own feeling or thousands and thousands of people during the lockdown has lost the sensibility. They have become, they have lost the sense. And so they have become senseless people. It has ambivalence. The poem can be interpreted in 2 ways. Personal experience of the poet as well as the situation created by this lockdown for a long time, how people gradually lost the sensibility. And another, aliveness. Aliveness, I don't feel easy with this word. Either alive, you see, or think, who is she? So as Roop Singh is quite young, so as for his age, I think the poem is expressive, So as for his age, the poem is expression of his feeling, you see. Undefined fantasy, who is she? Undefined fantasy. So you are speaking to in a mystical way, or you can say you have defied glorified the sea, you know, the pronoun sea is glorified as undefined fantasy. And then she is warming down in me, enticed, so the effect. So because of this undefined fantasy, the poet, this who is she, question mark, undefined fantasy answer, effect enticed. The poet said, but tangled. Okay? I am alive now in the pauses of her babies. Okay, fine. So living now depends in the beating of the heart of the beloved. So it's like poem mistress, Andrew Marvell. You see, it reminds me very, very famous poem in English poetry, you know, Andrew Marvell's to his choir mistress. Okay, good. These are short, sweet poems. Now, 13th presenter, Sarita Bhattarai. So it is the poem talking about poem. Meta poem, you see. So poem talks about poem is meta poem. So she says, wanted to write a poem, a singular image, scattered traveler. So this is a very descriptive poem. She has given how the common people have suffered during this lockdown, when you see all these common conveyances, common, you see, these traveling means not able, transportation not available, how common people suffered to visit from urban areas to villages. So Bardia, you know, how people suffered to reach to Bardia. So this is very, what you call, very effective, and it has given a very beautiful way the description how the travelers suffered. You know, even in TV we have shown, even in India, you know, thousands and thousands of people, how they travel from Bombay to Bihar using cycle, and some of them even in Telangana, you know, will cart. So I think that reminded me, this poem reminded me that TV image, how thousands of people suffered. This night, this is really very topical, you know, it is related to present context. When the entire nation, when in the entire nation, common people are really suffering indescribably. See, we have no words to describe how the common people suffered, particularly during these festival occasions, when they longed to reach to their homes, but there was no way to go to. You see, so this is very descriptive, very topical, very effective poem. Corona and Ama, you know, so this is very innocent children's voice. And so in that way, referring to Corona, referring the travelers, referring these festivals and the occasion, lockdown, it's really very topical, descriptive, very effective presentation. Thank you, Sarita Bhattarai. And now, Sneha Saymi. This is a Rato Ghar or Rato shirt?
Rato jacket.
Reminds me, you know, when I was a student, there was Rato Ghar, you know, just in front of Ratna Park. That was Panchayat Niti Jajbus Samiti, you know. There in that Rato Ghar. Later on, that became the office of the students. Okay. So anyway, so Rato represents revolution.
Land revolution.
Yes. So land. So this is really again touchy. The way people expected the changes that they expected after monarchy, people expected from democracy in 1990, and then again, you see, again another shift in 2006. But what happened? What we are really, you know, looking and feeling, and each and everybody here this evening, you know, you as a very conscious citizen of the nation, poet is the, as I said in Vedas, the most ideal citizen. You see, what the nation should finally reach to the stage is Kavi. You see, Kavi is the objective of the ideal society. Unlike Plato, remember, Plato avoids poet. Veda respects poet. You know, this is the difference between Rig Veda and poet. Plato, Rig Veda and Plato. Okay. West and East, difference, remember. East looks Kavi as the model of society, and the politicians and the leaders should be under the poet, under the conscious citizen, and they should be respected, regarded according to Veda, Rig Veda, Mandal 3rd, whereas in West, Plato, according to Plato, poet should be banded in the ideal state. So this is the difference of looking the poet from Eastern philosophical perspective and Western philosophical perspective. Okay, this much. So I'm really impressed, Swamiji, the way you have, having heard, you know, this very opening line is impressive, you know, having heard. The poet is going to say some very significant, you know, having heard. Full of red carpet. So the way entire nation was ready to welcome the leaders, you know, democratic leaders, that they are going to make a change, and our life will really feel the change. And so common mass expected a real change in life and waited for so many years, so many decades. But ultimately, you see, vanished. This is poetic diction, you know. The leaders are not vanishing. Remember, we are vanishing. But Saymi, in the sense of, this is poetic justice. Poet has every freedom to bring in, you see, justice in the poem. Even though in real life, such justice doesn't happen. But in the poem of Saymi, people are waiting, but the leaders cannot face, cannot see
into their eyes.
Yes, see the eyes of the people, cannot face the public. You see, so this is the line of poetic justice. A very conscious poet can do that. So you have wonderfully done the job. So once again, I would like to congratulate you. And Bidhanji, a very refined poet, and of course all of us know. So this is a Himalayan euphony, is a kind of symphony, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a kind of symphony. So it's praise. Euphony is a kind of praise. So obviously his love is to the nation. His love is to Himalaya. You see, I'm in love with you, waiting for the day you embrace me. So you are waiting for the embrace of Himalaya. Himalaya represents nation. Sagarmatha Sirku Topi Vaidiya. So Sagarmatha our Sirku Topi. So this is a very nationalistic poem. Every morning I breathe. So this is really representing nation in the symbols. So now I would like to congratulate each of you. So you have expressed present context, present politics, and also your sense of love, like Roop Singh Bhandari ji, you see, and also third gender consciousness, you see, and feeling the pain of that community, you see, and old mothers feeling, you see. So in this way, you have presented different aspect of our life, different aspect of the nation. So this evening, I feel entire nation gathered here to represent the nation from different aspects, different angles. So finally, I would like to congratulate Nepal Srashta Samaj and its president and the entire body, and also advisor Pawanji, to give me this opportunity as the on the first occasion, as the first critic. And as I have said in the beginning, being first is always privileged, as the first love in the life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We are really obliged by your comments, and we would like to pay our gratefulness, thanks to you. And now I would like to request.
Manju, can I quickly just say something? I'm very grateful, Krishna Chandra Ju, Sarasanga Pani, but it would be ironic if I wouldn't say this, because there is a group of queer community who are actually are in the middle of social and political movement against the use of word third gender. So I just like to put it right here. So they would just like to call themselves as a queer community, not as a third gender. So maybe we should also acknowledge that. So just that much.
Thank you for correcting me.
Okay. And I would like to request our senior poet Tulasi Diwasa for reciting his poem and addressing us. And he is so affirmative, and he is so authoritative type of having authoritative type of statements, and we are really waiting for his remarks. Dai Tulsi Divas Dai. Please unmute yourself. Yes, sir. No, it's fine. It's okay.
Thank you, Bidhan. I'm sorry. Something happened somewhere in the middle of the program, so I couldn't hear some of your comments or some of your poems. Anyway, I'm really happy to be here with all of you poets writing in English and those reciting their English translated poems. I think this is first time that you have organized, and it's very successful, though it would have been better if we had incorporated more poets, but I think time is there. So it's okay. Being a poet myself, I have traveled almost half of the world in the name of poetry, attending a lot of international, regional poetry festival, poetry reading, and different literary conferences. Even my poems have been translated more than 25 different languages of the world. So I have come in contact with the living legendary poets of different parts of the world. The time has come now to take our literary talent and provide them international platform and let them be recognized by international, literary lovers, audiences, and the critics. In other words, we are really taking with us the living Nepal in the name of poetry, in the name of literature, or sometimes in the name of culture. Being a poet myself, I think in order to write a poem, one should leave poetry first. Then only you write. That's the best way of being sincere to poetry reading and poetry writing and being a poet. What is already told, written, said, is not supposed to be repeated in the name of poetry, in any form of poetry again. Write something new in terms of even your expression or traditionally style, or in terms of content, or in terms of what you really want to communicate through poetry. That's more important. So the poet is supposed to be, is always, I think I request to be sincere to their feeling, their poetry, or their writing, come up something with new, different style. a different way of looking into life or your experience. That's the best way of doing justice to poetry writings, in my experience. So I would like to share this with a lot of poets, those who have recited poems earlier, and I like them, most of them, yes. I am not really want to see myself in their poems. Let them come up with their own faces, with their own identity as a poet. That's the best way of doing justice in terms of poetry writing this is what I'm communicating and saying out of my own experience of poetry writing for the last 60 and 65 years. So I think this is, and this kind of program will provide opportunity to come in contact with new writers, new poets, all of those established poets to be together with and go ahead. I have my kind of jokes. Sometimes some of my friends used to address younger poets as Bhai Kavi, younger brother poets. And I used to say them, once they are recognized as poet, you are not supposed to address them as senior in terms of age. And recognize them and accept them in your own label of writing. Once you accept them, there is no social or family kind of relationship in addressing to your juniors or to your seniors or to your contemporary poets. Poets are poets. There is no family relationship, you know. So I don't want to juniors and senior, I don't want to use these kind of words also. When you recite poems, when you agree them, when you really recognize them as poets, they stand on the same level of poetry writing. This is what is my experience. So, I know there is a lot of things. We'll have discussion. You can organize again the program on, you know, this kind of experience or exchanging the ideas and views and experience with the poets and of different age level and age groups, of different culture or different, you know, that's very important. I have to say one thing, that even when a Nepali poet writes in English, and when the Nepali poems are translated into English, I have faced some kind of problems, because you can't translate word by word. You can't literally translate. And sometimes there is a problem, because the poetry or the whole images or the background, is a cultural background or even natural background, you know, it comes very loudly in your poems. And sometimes what you really want to communicate, if it's translated into another language, it's very difficult to really communicate the same kind of feelings and, you know, internal, your feeling into another language. So you have to have one way and other translate it, not word by word, but from one culture to another culture. That's a very, I came across this problematic, you know. Anyway, I would really appreciate organizing you as the chairman of your Srashta Samaj, and you have been organizing this kind of program very often, and I have an opportunity to come in contact with you and to join you people and communicate, share my experience. And I would like to share again afterwards. Right now, I think we have taken a lot of time. You are supposed to finish it by 1.5 hours. So we have already taken 15 minutes more.
Yes.
Now I would like to recite my poem. And this is, I wanted to hear, I agree with Dr. Krishna Chandra Mishra.
No, Sharma.
Krishna Chandra Sharma. His prompt comment and then, you know, that he had been very sincere to communicate what he had felt. And with some reservation, I agree with him. And this is very interesting to really hear immediate, you know, a kind of appreciation, kind of, you know, your kind of impressions to this poets, those who have recited their poems, though most of them are, I don't know, some of them are new and some of them are older ones. So I don't care about that, because I don't even say new and old, poems are poems. Now, I would like to recite, I think it will take 5 minutes about, or maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Avatara vision, incarnation vision. Turning the Kala Chakra on the occasions of the festival of light. Turning the Kala Chakra on the occasion of the festival of light by the Kala itself, with the opening of the day, drawn by a profound desire to partake in the rainbow procession of prismatic light, gushing forth in green bubbles out of the blue welcome arts, made with the tapestries of red light, the snow river of light, flowing interminably, melting under the sun's rising heat. Ever the traffic forbidden street of boundless time, where only Kala Bhairava moves with light, red, yellow, blue, green, orange, and purple, spilled over from the exploded jar of the colorful horizons. Sun, liquefied by time, playing holy. I, leaping headlong, come out looking for the light by breaking the previous stone cave of darkness, hastily following one strip of light, now losing even the little extra light saved within myself, in the wild melee pulled by the lights itself. In the wild melee pulled by the light itself, downhearted with absolutely no light, am returning to the home of complete darkness. Am returning home of complete darkness in the evening with no light, like the lorgnette, profound, raven tides of blue ocean, returning to the main stream after washing the soul. The Odyssey of mind, an excursion not from darkness to light, but a frontward travel from light to darkness. But a frontward travel from light to darkness is an incessant journey made in blue times. Over the hills, blackened by the burned light, my last step. raised to touch the summit of light. My last step raised to touch the summit of light, not finding the solid base of the peak, not finding the solid base on the peak, heads downwards from the summit over to the perpetual slope of darkness, over to the perpetual slope of darkness. Perhaps this mountain journey of light, perhaps this mountain journey of light ends in the summit of darkness, ends in the summit of darkness, invariably like this, and every colorless, helpless Buddha, bound to take new incarnation, bound to take a new incarnation with a fat, clean desire to see the victory of light over darkness in each yuga, in each age, in each age, setting Buddhahood in the Sunni philosophy of darkness, and thus to acquire nirvana. And thus to acquire nirvana has become the common destiny of every Rinpoche, has become the common destiny of every Rinpoche in this age of light. I am also not singing the saga of light. In this age of light, I am also not singing the saga of light, but speaking the perpetual philosophy of darkness. But speaking the perpetual philosophy of darkness at the level of felt experiences. At the level of felt experiences, perhaps light is darkness. Perhaps light is darkness. Perhaps light is darkness and darkness is light. And darkness is light. And now, in actuality, I can see no distinction between light and darkness. No distinction between light and darkness. Climbing the lofty summit of light, I have traversed countless humps, mountains, and snow ranges of darkness. And snow ranges of darkness, or covered the long, straight path of darkness. Straight path of darkness, following light like this perhaps. Following light like this perhaps, I have reached very far, very high, very deep. Perhaps I have arrived at places I did not need to be in or was forbidden to reach. Or was forbidden to reach, and my eyes cannot show any difference. My eyes cannot show any differences between light and darkness. My eyes cannot show any difference between light and darkness. I feel deep down it's become the same to me. It's become the same to me to close the eyes of light and open the sight of darkness. To close the eyes of light and open the sight of darkness, or to see the light from the ubiquitous vision of darkness. Therefore, narrating the story of Mahabharata battle of light and darkness. Therefore, narrating the story of Mahabharata battle of light and darkness, I am once again speaking about the vision of a new avatara. The vision of a new avatara, singing the epic story of darkness in the age of light. In the age of this light, I am speaking the last Krishna Gita of profound darkness from Krishna's own mouth. I am speaking the last Krishna Gita of profound darkness from Krishna's own mouth. Entering the rare and inaccessible, only tunnel of the forlorn darkness, I am opening with the dark light. I am opening with the dark light, the last unattainable Krishna vision of the black hole. I am compelled and obliged to speak. I am speaking. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am not requesting Keshab Sharma sir for the critic of this poem right now because we are already out of time.
But I would like to hear him. You know, I'd like to hear him anytime. Next time also,
yes,
or after
next
some
time.
time, he can talk to me.
This will be in the next series, sir. This will be in the next
All
series.
right. So nice of you. It's wonderful, Bidhan. Thank you so much. I think I have recited different kind of poems, and I'm singing the song of darkness, but in terms of light. So it's a totally different. And every poet, one way and other, should be different, original, and individual in terms of writing poems and reciting poems. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would like to thank all of you on behalf of Nepal Srashta Samaj and myself, and on behalf of the whole team behind me. I would like to express our thanks, sincere thanks to all of you. And before we conclude, I would like to just note two things. First, there is a chat message from Mahesh Paudyal. Please send your creations to us, editors, editors, @ The Gorkha Times, TheGorkhatimes.com. And I would like to request Mahesh Paudyal, if it is possible, to congregate, to assemble all the poems recited today together and put into a special issue of Gorkha Times, if it is possible. This is my humble request to you, Mahesh. If it is possible, you can do this, and that will be also a kind of legend for us too, Mahesh, if it is possible. It depends upon you. I am not just going to pressurize you.
We can do that. We can do that.
And one more thing, when Keshab sir was having comment about the shortness, the minimalism of the poems of Mahesh and Rajendra Salabh, I just recalled one thing. I just want to put it here. We had a friend, Bidhan Acharya. He died in 1990. And sometimes Bidhan Acharya used to write very short poems. And when we ask him, why do you write these very short poems? And he used to say to us that, well, the final line or the end line came, and how can I drag my poetry so longer if the final line is already there? That's why I cannot do that. He used to say like this. I just recalled it. And again, once again, I would like to humbly request you. I would like to thank you for being here with us this evening, and we have disturbed your dinner time. I know that, but I just want to assure you that this is the first of its kind by Nepal Srashta Samaj. I don't know about others. By Nepal Srashta Samaj.
I like to.
And we'll be continuing this. This is first of its series. Please, Tulsi.
I think I was reciting the translated, my poem being translated by Dr. Abhishwedi. So I would like to mention his name. Thank you so much.
Credit also. Thank you. Thank you. Now it is the time to end this session. And why I am saying this session is that this is the first of its kind, and we will be continuing with other sessions. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good night. Shivaratri.
Let's start.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.